Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Burning Rubber Podcast. I'm Jake Scarborough, joined by my co-hosts Fidel Fabian, Tyler McIntosh, and Matthew Stotts. How you guys doing today? Oh dear God.
Doing
Uh,
swell.
doing good until the flashback just happened again.
Um.
Having a good time.
All right. Well, we've got a few things to discuss right now for this. Oh, geez, why
Not
are
a
you doing?
why.
This is a new camera. I would like to point out I bought a new camera, and this thing is how do you say piece of shit.
That is by far the quickest it's ever messed up. I want to point
Yeah,
that out.
yeah, that was something. Anywho, uh, okay, you know what? We're just not allowed to have a good time now, are we? I'm just not allowed to have nice things. I think that's what we're realizing. Nevertheless, we have a few things to talk about. Starting off with Phoenix for Arca, which I didn't really want to talk about Arca, but I guess a way of talking about it. I don't know who watched it here. Which one of you guys watched it? Did any of you?
I
I
watched it
only saw
off
a
and
little
on.
bit. Yeah, I only saw a
First
little
20
bit.
laps for me.
I
Okay,
saw the
so
3 liters wreck, and then I saw the winner.
okay, so then we're just not going to talk about Arca. The only thing I have to mention about it is the fact that it actually looks like a proper development series where you don't have to be in a Toyota to win. Because no one here except me watched the race. So, um, truck. No, trucks didn't
Nope.
race. Okay, so Xfinity. I didn't watch that. So Fabian, your go.
Xfinity was severely, well, I want to say severe, but a bit lackluster for the first two stages. I can't very really remember most of the race, but I do know Allgaier, he was doing well. Well, yeah, Jake is in Nagasaki right now. Yeah, just an Allgaier. He was having a good day. He wrecked out. Sammy Smith got his first win. Uh Ryan Truex was doing well, but we didn't get there in time. But that's all I can say for the Xfinity race. Other than that, I don't remember anything.
Yeah,
Tyler.
it was an interesting race. I think when I was going through and watching it, I felt like everybody was kind of even up until the point where I can't remember who the dominant car was at this point. It's been so long. But we kind of saw a lot of craziness on the restarts. Sammy Smith, I think, had the better car all day. I think because we saw where he could move anywhere he wanted to and do good. So I'm glad that he finally got his first win. It's been a long time coming. He was quick last year. He's been quick this year. Going to tracks that he hasn't ran at. Obviously, he's ran at Phoenix with the ARCA series. Other than that, an interesting scuffle between Chandler Smith and Kyle Busch on the last lap. Nothing really interesting other than the fact that Ryan Truex, who hasn't been in a car I think in months, to come home and finish second in the 19 car. I'm excited to see what he does in the next couple weeks.
Alrighty. This race was very entertaining, in my honest opinion. Seeing the I don't even know who won. I forgot. Let me check real quick. Who won? Someone tell me real quick.
Sammy Smith.
Oh, W Mans. This race was actually pretty entertaining. Seeing one Kyle go from the back to the front. And then obviously we had some other guys who had to make their way from the back to the front after issues. I believe Allgaier was one, Nemechek was one. Truly thought this was great racing all around. It was really cool to see. Also, you said Truex, a hell of a good finish for him in that 19 car. We were kind of skeptical on how or what driver could perform probably the best out of it, and obviously Truex could write his name pretty well up in that. It was cool to see Creed bounce back after he had that spin. So I mean, and then Herbst obviously being consistent with the help of Cole Custer. I thought, or did I say? Yeah, I said Herbst. It's just a good race. It was a great race. It was just crazy to me. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Not usually an Xfinity type of guy when it comes to these races, but it was good.
Oh my God. I before I lose my mind because of this camera. I don't know. I watched highlights. Big thing
Big
for
highlights
Sammy
type of
Smith.
guy.
Yeah, big highlights guy. No, that's what happens when you work during a race and didn't even realize the race was on in the first place. Um, I mean, yeah, that's cool seeing Sammy Smith win. We saw him last year in some of his one-off starts do very well. Obviously, that's big for JGR and TRD because they've still got a young driver that's capable of winning races. Haven't seen that in a while. Then you have, this, what is it, the 19 or 18, whatever that's being tossed around between different drivers.
19.
Ryan
19.
Truex. Yeah. Ryan Truex didn't do that bad. It's still hard to really say what Joe Graff Jr. is doing with his abilities. At least he's able to say he can make races. Anywho, I mean, I don't really have much to say. It's gonna be weird. We saw Colleague. They can make a Phoenix car. That seems like something they've struggled with the past few years. So maybe when we come back later in the year, and if one of their cars, hopefully, make the Final Four, we can see them fight. But it looked like Phoenix could actually be a good race if the circumstances are right. So who knows? Nevertheless, the Cup race at Phoenix, which, a lot of people have mixed views on that. So Fabi, I'm going to let you go ahead and take that one off.
Yeah, just like last week, it's more just somewhat good racing ruined by pretty bad broadcast. Racing compared to last week was a lot worse, but I feel like the package was better. It's just Phoenix as a short track isn't really that good. But it did have its moments, especially seeing Harvick going from leading with about 6 to go to randomly Byron winning with a 2 to go restart. Heartbreak for Harvick, but Byron and Hendrick as a whole, they're on a roll this season.
Yeah, I think I think story of the day was Kyle Larson and Kevin Harvick both being pretty dominant. I was hoping Harvick would win. I literally made it my pick for a reason. I had a feeling. I feel bad for him because the second time in a row it was Kyle Larson last week. It was Kevin Harvick this week. 2 to go. Restarts with William Byron and 2 tires just seem to be money and something that he's getting really good at. I mean, we've seen him every year so far fire off really good, start the season. If he can keep it up all year long, we might be looking at championship contender William Byron. Kind of the same thing. We saw 4 wide on a couple restarts. That last restart, before they actually got it done, we were seeing 3, 4 wide at 1.5 wide. New short track package looked good. I enjoyed the way they had to fight the cars and the fact that they want it to be harder for them and make it more entertaining for us is sick. So overall, I would say probably like Fidel said, the racing was good. The broadcast was I would probably say about a 6.5.
All right, got to be quite honest with you here. Didn't really listen much to commentary. I didn't have it muted, but I had it muted in my ears, as in I just didn't listen to a thing they said. But the racing, it was great. It was really cool. This package showed a lot of skill, I guess you want to call it that. Not saying other tracks don't take that or any or other packages, but this one really showed who really held on to their tires and we also saw, like Tyler said, the handling of it, how people were able to handle it, was pretty loose. It looks like for some people. We saw Bowman, bro, went sliding through, what was it, through 2. I mean, that was a heck of a save, but it just showed how this package could be so helpful for the short tracks and a package we definitely needed at these type of places. Byron, I really felt bad for Harvick. First of all, felt real bad. I wanted to see him win just because this is his track mainly. This is what he's known for. It is Phoenix wins. Would have been nice to see him, especially in this last year. But seeing Byron win off of a strategy like this just shows he's got that clutch gene, man. I mean, those things can win you not just races but championships. I mean, this could be the same scenario sitting back in November. If we come down to November, he's in the Final Four, and this type of situation comes out. I mean, it can just be thrown right into where he knows how to handle it. But this race was great to watch. Shout out to Josh Berry, top 10. That's really cool to see from him. And also good to see my boy Briscoe pick it up, not be the part of the trio of SHR losing it. But good race. I loved it. It was awesome.
Well, I feel like there's two headlines with this race. Obviously, one that we'll get into right after this, but Harvick, he's some claim him as the king of Phoenix because he always has good finishes there. He's got a streak of, 15 races at Phoenix with the top 10?
I think so, something like that.
Yeah. So, obviously, his final season, we see him doing so well, leading, and then caution. Now, how in the world we had another caution after that to put us in overtime? Um, the finish was insane to say the least. The only way Byron got away was because Reddick pushed him down the back. Aside from that, the race itself was just kind of in my opinion. It was better than what we've seen most of the time at Phoenix, but it also could have been a lot worse, better, anything. It was just kind of in the middle. So to say the least, yeah, it sucks for Harvick. Hopefully we can see him do well throughout the rest of the season. He's obviously got something going for him. Alex Bowman takes the points lead after that, apparently. But nevertheless, good on Byron for kind of gambling there and making it work out in the end to go back to back. But to move forward to the other headline coming out of Phoenix, the Ross Chastain Denny Hamlin fiasco continues. So, with that being said, we saw them make contact on the final restart. Hamlin said on his own podcast that he was going to take Ross with him. If he was going to drop positions, Ross was going with him. So, with that being said, where do you guys think this goes?
I think it's just gonna be like possibly maybe a fine or a point stock, but I don't see it going anywhere worse than what Bubba did last year at Las Vegas, where he and Jake is in another bombing incident. Yeah, it's not going to be as severe as Bubba Wallace from last season at Las Vegas, where he flat dumped Larson and collected Christopher Bell. But I feel like he's going to get some sort of a slap on the wrist. But the Hamlin versus Chastain saga continues.
Honestly, I hope this is the end of it. I just think that it's gone on way too long. I mean, yeah, the thing with the clash happened, and if this is Denny getting his revenge for that, I'm totally okay with that. I would rather it just be done now. Because honestly, what happened at Gateway was pretty stupid. Like it's gone on way too long. I hope there is a fine or a penalty because to admit that you intentionally took somebody with you when you made a mistake on your call and then you just weren't doing good. My opinion, it's kind of chicken crap. So yeah, I hope it's the end of it. It'd be nice for it to be over with and see two of the best drivers in the series kind of not kill each other every week and race each other like crap when they're around each other.
Yeah. Definitely hope this is the last straw, as they say. It's really gonna come down to how his aggressive mindset does throughout the season, because we know how aggressive he can be at times, and if he just randomly accidentally gets the one guy he's been beefing with for nearly 2 seasons now, it'd be game over. But for Denny, uh, it's unfortunate. I mean, I'm glad he got the payback now than waiting for however long. I mean, rent free though, in my opinion. I mean, that living rent free up in that man's head. But he's gonna get some type of fine. Not too sure how big of a fine we're talking. I don't see a suspension, obviously, because this isn't like Bubba, or this isn't we at like we're not Las Vegas or nothing. We ain't like no big track or anything. So that was very silly though for him to just take my man with me. Just straight up said, if I'm going down, you're going down too, type deal. But that's how it is, and we'll see later on if that's the end of their shenanigans. But I won't be surprised if it isn't.
Well, we saw a lot happen last year. Geez, I don't even remember when it started. I significantly remember Pocono. What Gateway? What was the other ones? I it's just gone on for so long.
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah,
Okay.
Atlanta.
So we obviously saw Chastain do something with Martinsville where he did the what's known as the Hail Melon, which ironically kicked Hamlin out of the final four. So that was kind of salt in the wound to Hamlin. Obviously, the clash happened where they had an incident, and now we've seen it continue. So, does this even the count, or does Chastain have to retaliate? Um, Everyone's gonna hope it's done. Some people are gonna hope it continues. I personally think that with Ross Chastain's driving style, it's gonna continue because, as we know, Chastain will just run you over. It doesn't matter who you are. It's just happened to be Hamlin more than once. Um, so I feel like it's going to be something that continues probably till the playoffs until one of them screws the other out of a advancement, which wouldn't surprise me if it does happen. But I think it continues. I don't necessarily hope it continues. I'm not a fan of crashing. I've kind of made that clear last week. But this is going to be something that continues whether anyone likes it or not. Next topic was going into Phoenix. NASCAR announced that Hendrick and Justin Haley, oddly enough, uh, what was it taken off their car? The lowers
Louvers.
or
Louvers.
louvers? All right. So not sure what that's about. They haven't come out with a statement about it, as far as I'm aware. So the question remaining is, what's going to happen with that? Why did NASCAR go to them? What's going to be the outcome?
I think it could either go two ways. Maybe just like a small fine for Hendrick and maybe a point stock for the team, or they can go as massive as last season with RFK, where they lose hundreds of points for for all their drivers and for the team with a massive fine. And this basically puts a huge buffer for their chance to get into the playoffs. But other than that, I got nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna be totally honest. I don't have a full picture on what the louvers do other than the fact that they're on the hood. So I'm gonna guess that it has something to do with keeping the engine and everything under the hood cool. But I think it's like Fidel said, maybe we're looking at an RFK situation, like with Brad when they adjusted something on the car and ended up with a lot of points that ultimately kept Brad out of the playoffs. It's hard to say, because they never really mentioned. I think this was before any session had happened, so I don't think there was something that they realized as far as pace, unless when they went through inspection they saw a difference. But we obviously we really don't know much about the situation at all, truthfully. So I have zero clue. I hope it's not an RFK situation, but you never know.
Yeah, I'm no cars guy. I don't know much about. I mean, all I know is how to put a tire in and where you put the lugs, and that's all I know really about a car, other than starting it. So I don't know much about that word or whatever the word is. I can't even say it, to be honest. Um, but I mean, yeah, what everyone else has said. It can look like an RFK situation. We could be looking at a lot of points lost for I believe the driver and the teams as well, owner points, stuff like that. Um, I'm not too sure. I don't remember when they took the things, because I don't know if they took them after Daytona. I don't know when they took them. I don't know if that had any effect on last week's one. I don't think it had an effect on the Phoenix one. I think they're already gone, unless they're still using them. I have no clue though. Yeah, I could see a hefty penalty if they are found guilty of crime or whatever the hell, or heck, whatever the heck you want to call it. But this is definitely summing up to look like an RFK situation.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure what they do either. I'm kind of in the same boat with you guys. But if what did they take them before Phoenix or was it before? Um, Vegas.
Yeah,
I
I'm
want to
not too
say,
sure.
from what I remember seeing, it was when they got to Phoenix, but it was before practice or qualifying or anything went down. Is what I think. That's what I remember. Don't quote me on it, but
Well, even then, I feel like it says how little it meant, considering we saw Larson up front all race. We saw all the Hendrick cars doing well.
I mean, they
And
all
then
got tough
Byron
in.
ends up winning. So obviously it didn't mean that much, whether they were cheating or not. As for Justin Haley's situation, I'm just not sure. I wonder if they just took it from another random Chevy team to see if it was a big deal. Who really knows? Especially when the two teams have no cahoots with each other, essentially. So it's hard to tell.
it
But
was after practice, apparently,
okay.
from what I just read.
Well, even then, yeah, they still had the performance in the race that
Yeah.
spoke for itself. Nevertheless, the news for the past, 2 weeks now has been all the entries for Coda. Originally, it was announced that Connor Daly was going to do Coda for, what is it called? Geez, the Money Team Racing. Then we saw Kimi Räikkönen's back with Project 91. Jensen Button showing up with Rick Ware. And now we've got Jimmy Johnson, who's going to be making the start at Coda. So with that being said, we've got the open wheel guys kind of show up to Coda and see what they can do, and then Johnson making his debut at the track. So what do we really get out of the Coda weekend? Obviously, some faces are going to miss the field, and the question is it going to be, out of them, who is it going to be? Because I believe one of them will miss it, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it could probably be. It could be anyone. I'm probably gonna go with the Jake Scarborough route and say Johnson gets eliminated from
Let's
qualifying.
go.
I feel like with all the entries, he's probably the weakest at road courses. Even with all the experience he has had, he's never had any luck at road courses, except for maybe Sonoma, but that's about it.
Me personally, I feel like it's either going to be Jensen Button or Connor Daly, just off of the premise that they're road course drivers, but at the end of the day, Money Team had their issues barely making it into the 500 with a component that was messed up. It's going to be an SHR car from Wickware Racing. Pretty much, they're preparing it, so we never know there. But at the end of the day, I think the fact that Jimmy Johnson's been in a stock car before, it's more like a GT car this time. So I think mainly off of the reason that it's a petty GMS car at the end of the day, or not petty GMS, Legacy Motor Club. Sorry, that the car's going to be good enough to get him in, and Jimmy's going to be good enough. I just don't think that Connor Daly or Jensen Button are going to have the equipment that they need to carry them through.
Alrighty. So I'm just doing a little research here real quick. Man. Regardless, I was gonna go him, but then I thought about it. Um, with him out, then dang. Oh man, I don't want to go Johnson, but I'm not gonna go Johnson. I'm gonna go Daly. Johnson, he doesn't drive the next gen cars as much. Obviously, I think he's other than this year. I don't think he's ran a single next gen car. And are we even sure Daly's going to even make it around the track without having issues this time? I mean, that's also a concern I have. Gee whiz. I mean, I'm gonna go Daly though, missing. I love him though. I love him, but I hate. It is what it is.
Well, I want to be in the same boat and say it's gonna be Connor Daly just because of the issues we saw with the team last year. I do feel like, all right, he's already got the road course experience. He did race the Charlotte Roval last year for the same team, so it's just a matter of if they bring the equipment that actually works. I mean, they made the 500 field. The fact that they even did that is insane with the issues they had. But I've got that gut instinct that's going to tell me it's not going to be Johnson either. I saw your head pop up, Matthew. I think that caught you off guard. I'm gonna go ahead and say that under some unforeseen circumstance, Jensen Button's gonna miss the field. Because I think that partnership with SHR is kind of odd because Rick Ware was partnered with SHR before, and then they switched over to RFK this year, and now all of a sudden they're getting an SHR prepared car. Not so sure what it's all about, but I just don't see Jensen making the field because he's the only one out of those guys that doesn't have experience with the next gen.
You and your wild picks, man.
Is that
They
a
get
wild
me.
pick, though?
They get me.
He doesn't
They
have
get me.
experience in the
They
car.
get me.
The 15's
I
chartered
know.
though. We just
Oh,
talked
is
about
it?
that.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
we just talked about
Yeah,
that.
that's
Okay,
why-
then
that's
never
also
mind.
as well.
My
It's
bad.
chartered.
My bad.
Yeah,
Then
I
okay,
apologize
Jimmy
to you, bro.
Johnson. Bye.
Shocker. Shocking.
He went right
Shocking.
back to
I
it.
am.
I'll put my head back down.
Yeah, it's depressing.
Anywho, professional Jimmy Johnson hater, I guess.
You're not
Never-
wrong.
You sure are.
Nevertheless, Formula One Race 2 in Saudi Arabia. How's this one go, Fabian? Your predictions?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be the same song and dance from last week, or not last week, from 2 weeks ago. So I'm just gonna say Verstappen, probably Perez in second, but third can be a toss-up. Fernando Alonso did really well at Bahrain, but I don't know if all that Bahrain push is gonna go over to Saudi Arabia. Maybe that push might go more to Lance Stroll since he's probably healed up more since Bahrain. Maybe he has more push in the car than Fernando. But either way, it's probably gonna be a Red Bull dominant day.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same opinion as Fidel. Red Bull's definitely going to dominate. The midfield is probably going to be the most exciting battle on the racetrack all season long for the podium, and then fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh on through there. I'm going to go with the shocker, though. I think we see Mercedes kind of get the kick that they need, whether it be in practice or qualifying. I think we see Mercedes start to contend more with the Aston Martins and Ferraris. I'm going to say Perez with a win. I think Perez is going to get it done. He was quick there last year. Perez, Verstappen, and then I'm going to say George Russell on the podium with Mercedes.
I like that. I'm gonna throw my podium out too. Let me just get the snooze session out the way first. Verstappen's gonna win. Shocker. Yay. Just the Red Bull is so fast. So I'm gonna go Verstappen winning the race by 20 something seconds or however many seconds he chooses to win by. I think look Charles is gonna split the Red Bulls. I think he'll get second. And in fact, I think we're gonna have, like you said, I think we're gonna have a Mercedes on the podium. And I like the route you went. I'm gonna go George Russell. I think George Russell has shown, in my opinion, I feel like he can put a race together more. Now, no offense to Lewis. I mean, whether it's pit strategy, whatever you want to call it, but I think age starts to catch up to people. And Russell, I mean, he's proved that he's probably faster than Hamilton, even if it doesn't show leaderboard wise. But I got Russell being on the podium, joining Verstappen and Charles. So I got a Red Bull, Ferrari. Oh, just like the good old days, Ferrari and Mercedes. So yeah.
I hate to be that guy.
Here we go.
Apparently something going around is that Mercedes Mercedes HQ is upset with the Mercedes F1 team's performance. Okay, you both simultaneously drank. Mercedes HQ is upset at Mercedes F1 team performance, and allegedly they have the next 3 races to get their shit together. And if they don't, they're going to focus on making sure Aston Martin and Fernando Alonso's title bid stays true. Now, it's unclear on if Aston Martin's going to keep up their performance with what they had at Bahrain. We've seen, just from last year alone, that a few teams had a good appearance in Bahrain in the second race, but then fell off right after. So, do you think the Aston Martin thing continues? I think it continues, and I think it kicks off with Fernando Alonso getting third place again. Second place, I think, is going to be Max Verstappen, and I think Sergio Perez does get the upper hand and wins this weekend, making the Red Bull bittersweet rivalry, whatever's going on from last year, continue, and obviously having them fight for the title against each other and Fernando just peeking on the outside. I do think this whole thing with Mercedes is close to coming true. I do think they'll manage to get their stuff together on that like last chance race, but it's just a matter on if they're caught in a split decision and if they have to focus Fernando Alonso or one of the Mercedes F1 team guys. Because if it looks more promising to focus Alonso over Russell, but there's only 5 points between them after a couple races, then what do you do if you're Mercedes? Do you focus on both of them? Do you focus on one or the other? It's hard to tell. But obviously, they're gonna want their name brand to win over another one, even if they're supplied partners. But I do think Perez wins. I think it's gonna be the same podium as last week, just swap the top two. But I feel like the race itself is gonna be lackluster. I feel like Saudi Arabia's put on one of the better races the past 2 years, but I feel like this year is gonna be the one where it's kind of just quiet. It's gonna be very lackluster, not a lot of passing. If you want to compare it to anything, I'm going to compare it to Singapore, just minus the rain, I guess. But yeah, not much else to discuss on that for me. But we do have NASCAR at Atlanta for just Xfinity and Cup, as far as I'm aware. There's no trucks, right?
Let me check that for you real quick.
Yeah, because I'm not sure
What was even the question?
if Trucks is racing this weekend.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they
Okay.
are. Because I know. Yeah, because my buddy's in it.
Okay. Well, what we saw with Atlanta's new configuration last year, we saw it could provide some interesting racing. Something new for this weekend is they're moving the pit commitment line on the entry of turn 3 under the apron. So that's going to be an oddball for the races, seeing how that affects. So Darlington style, I guess. So yeah, with that being said, your guys' 3 picks for this weekend.
Yeah, I'm gonna go man. What's it who is racing in trucks that could win at Atlanta? I completely forgot. Sats, I think you can possibly help me or Ty.
We've got two faces. We got Kaz Growler in there for sure. John Hunter's racing. The 51, I believe, is driven by who is driving
Byron.
the 51? Byron?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Byron for trucks. Xfinity, I'm going with Austin Hill, and Cup, I'm probably gonna go with Larson.
Are we sure that Byron's in 51 this week?
Should be.
It's Jack Wood. Oh, mid. Sorry. Sorry.
I was gonna say
Sorry.
I
Ouch.
man, for me, for trucks, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say I'm gonna do it. Matt DiBenedetto wins the truck race.
Ooh.
Xfinity, I think we see the same thing we've seen from Austin Hill at every single plate race. It's pretty much a plate race, let's be honest. Austin Hill won last year. I'm going to say Austin Hill wins the Xfinity race. And I'm going to go out on a limb in the Cup Series as well. Somebody that has surprised me at plate races as of late, to be honest, and has been towards the front and he's had a really good start to the season. Brad Keselowski. I think he's going to be really good this weekend. He was good in Old Atlanta. Obviously, it's different, but that 6 team I think has ran top 10 every single race so far, so it's impressive.
That's some good picks. That's some good picks. Man, for trucks, I'm going with my good buddy. Going with my good buddy Raja Caruth. Good pal. Honestly, I feel like this probably can suit him, and hopefully, help him as he had a slow start to the season. It looks like. So hopefully, this pick goes well and he wins and turns it around for Xfinity. I'm going with the JRM car, assuming they magically don't find a way to mess up their 4-car train if that happens again. Not too sure if that will. But I'm gonna assume here since we saw it at Daytona. I'm gonna go with who am I thinking? I'm going Sam Mayer. Don't like the kid, but I'll go with him. He looks like he could be probably the most aggressive out of the four to get it done. And then Cup, I'm going based off what I watched last year at this Atlanta track. From my knowledge, I believe Corey LaJoy was up there quite a bit, running up there pretty good. And
Until he got murdered.
well, he got brutally murdered. May he rest in peace. But he's coming back for revenge. He's going to come back and he's going to win it and bring it home for Spire Motorsports. I believe that's the team.
Well, I'm gonna say you all are crazy.
Oh, let's hear what this man has to say.
Yeah, let's hear what I have to say. I'm gonna go ahead and say for the truck race, we're gonna see Ben Rhodes win. Not necessarily a crazy pick. Not much that has to be said about that pick. Just Ben Rhodes. He's. I just have that weird feeling he's gonna win. I heard that. As for Xfinity, that one's really much a toss up in my opinion, but if I have to say anyone specific, I feel like we see Sheldon Creed. I think he's gonna get his first win. I feel like that's a decent option there. As for Cup though, that's where I get confused. I'm not sure who's gonna win Cup. So I'm gonna go ahead, go out on a limb here. Chris Buescher. What is that, Fabian? Never do that again. Just
The Rock suddenly appeared.
Yeah, The Rock. Stop it. You know what? You're getting your camera turned off. Anywho, with that being said, I think that wraps up everything for. Oh wait, no, that doesn't.
You didn't make Sal's pick.
Oh yeah, Sal. Who did Sal pick again?
He picked LaJoy.
Oh, my man. My
Okay,
man,
okay.
bro.
We've got people on the same train for that. Another thing to tune out for, or tune in for, tune out. I don't know what I'm.
You don't want him to watch it?
No, I do want them to watch it. We have one of our Elliott Sadler Esports guys on the podcast for an interview this Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Tyler Severa. Geez, I'm having a moment. Just like my camera. But nevertheless, we've got him on the podcast this Friday, as well as another announcement that we'll mention next week for another one of our interviews. So back-to-back interviews, back-to-back weeks. Stotts will be joining me on next week's interview. So that's going to be a fun one as he... Jake, please turn on my camera. No, how about you go back to the waiting room?
Bro, so weird, bro.
Put in
Bro,
waiting
so
room.
weird.
There we go.
There we go.
Nevertheless, with that being said, thank you all for tuning in to this week's edition of the Burning Road podcast. Tune in Friday for the interview with Tyler Severa, and next week's podcast next Wednesday, where we talk about obviously what's going on in Atlanta and moving forward from that with our next announcement. So until then, we'll see you all. Goodbye.